there's a sequence here. Is it an easy one-step solution? No, not at all. But there is a process by which Sandbox can win this game. Is the community confident on it? No.
Yeah, but as you said, I mean, all great games, including chess games, dude, you can get some pretty wild endings. It just seems like we're going to have to get into some theory crafting here for Sandbox, and I'm definitely excited for it. Ninjas in Pajamas is going to be starting off on the defensive side here on Oregon, like we were referencing earlier. Let's get into these bans and see just how detrimental this can be for Sandbox's strategy. They're going to select the Ying first, always a fantastic ban. You and I were actually casting, I can't remember which map it was earlier on today, but we had Habana, I think it was Bank, yes. The Habana and Ying ban, and that's always what you kind of see on these areas, or not the Habana ban rather, but Ying getting banned on that kind of stuff, and those two really getting played around the more hatch-centric maps. So. And
we also just saw, I mean, on Chalet, Flores get banned, a similar story on Oregon. It's a very good map for Azami, very good map especially for deployable shields too, a lot often brought on the basement bomb site, so taking down the Flores, very logical ban from Sandbox. Follow up on the Cade, I like this ban for Sandbox, because if NIP would try to focus on Cade tricking those Electro Claws or those X-Kairos, that could really make Sandbox fight for even 2 rounds on their attacking side. So getting rid of the Cade, is it a safe ban? Yes, but I think it's an effective one. And NIP rounded out with the Azami ban as well. The one thing I still look at overall is taking down that Ying. NIP don't want to give Sandbox too many tools to just cause chaos on the site and get to those 2 wins that they need.
Yeah, I think it's really smart. Across the board, really good bans, including from Sandbox. But now, this is where the rubber hits the road. We're in this drone phase going and see what the strategy is going to be of Ninjas in Pajamas. The beauty of Oregon is that it is one of our most played out maps in the history of Rainbow Six. It's between this and Clubhouse. And when it comes down to it, every team knows the fundamental line that is going to be played by the defense for the majority of these bomb setups. We've only seen a couple of different iterations throughout the years, and honest to God, they've mostly been done by the Sonics. But past that, everybody else just kind of copies each other's homework, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, 5 players on the bomb site. Maybe someone plays freezer stairs early on. Maybe we see a couple players playing inside of meeting or kitchen early on. But that's really all you need to do. All the permutations you may consider. Just because basement gives you so much as the defense to rely on, you don't really need to think about all that much more. One thing to note, by the way, if Sandbox do go out right now, of course, they're still could very likely qualify for SI, but that would mean 2 of the 3 Korean teams at this event would both be eliminated, as the first one's leaving just D plus Kia in Phase 2. So Sandbox very much fighting for the region's chances as well, with Talon getting eliminated on the A-Stream just a few minutes ago by Keg.
Not what you want to hear for them. Always want solid representation from all of the regions at these events, but that's the thing, right? Somebody's got to go home. It's the name of the game. Now Mephi trying to elongate their life here at this tournament, even if it's for a map. It all starts there, Lynx. A round-to-round basis. Let's see what we can get done. And, I mean, if there was a moment to lock in, right? If there was a moment to be like, I have nothing to lose, everything to gain, it would be right now. Right here, right now. Everything's set up for this Oregon for Sandbox. This is going to be, as Link said, the second time that they've played this here today. The clear so far, not too bad, honestly. I'm not hating it. Default angles, especially some pretty old ones that we all have grown very accustomed to through the 8 years of playing here on Oregon. It's going to be exposed here from Sandbox 2 as they'll descend into the basement to try and deal with Nip's setup.
Yeah, the main concern with Nip's setup that we saw was the presence of the Mute and the Mozzie on the board, because there was no one playing on that top floor, but there was a lot of intel denial up there. And Sandbox, who do, especially after their Crest game earlier, do like to full clear that top floor, make sure there's nobody up there. Presence of Mute Jammers or Mozzie pests around that area could potentially make the attack take a lot longer. And to be fair, did it take too long? Maybe not, but we're definitely not long on time right now. Minute 15 seconds is when Sandbox are opening up those hatches, and there's still a lot of work to be done to clear out the long haul position, clear out the washing machine, basically everything that you'd expect on basement.
Yeah. The good news is that they still have a minute. The bad news Bears thing is that Mute Jammers are on the way and people are manning a lot of these
too.
Hot areas for foot traffic. Good boy. He got caught on the stairwell there, constantly making the salmon cues. He's just falling over and over again, so they more than likely know he's around the way. Such minimal time. This is just getting more and more worrisome. This should be cleaned up by the Mute. Very well done by Pino. And again, pure decadence from Ninjas in Pajamas when it comes to it. They are so very good at just keeping these mainline strats and shutting things down.
Flash is going on in. Sandbox looking to land their execute. Oh, both the nades don't clear out Pino around the corner. Thankfully, Arakaze is able to finish that one off. 4v5.
Uh-oh.
So they go on. Oh, man! Cons with the heater! Arced over the table. A triple kill through the smoke! Mephi does find one, but it all crumbles to pieces for Sandbox.
Wow.
And rough, too, because with that first pick in the smoke, that looked like a clean execute. Then a C4 lands, and it's all ashes in your hands.
Yeah, Cons blew up the whole quadrant. Moving like Oppenheimer here. That Nitro cell singing true on 2 people, and then just to add insult to injury, man, the Vector through the smoke?
Yeah,
Come on. Why you
actually,
cheesing, huh? Why you cheesing so hard?
That was the Vector through the smoke, man. Like,
Okay.
Sandbox put the smoke down. Perfectly fine, right? It goes a little short, maybe, but they still get the smoke down. Not only does a C4 fly through the smoke and dismantle their entire attack, but insult to injury, Cons just shoots him through the smoke.
Yep, and just completely random. Just, oh, he's dead. Cool, awesome. That's 3 people, and let me just add a 4th. Right there at the tail end, too. And that's the craziest thing. Like we've been talking about, Cons, for the most part, every once in a while he gets a Fenrir, right? Some nice gun, an ace sometimes on offense, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, he's doing this with some absolutely dipe weapons.
If you're not aiming head level as Mira, you're simply not killing anyone. You're just not. You're going 0-10. You're going 0-6.
Yeah, it's like old MPX. You're just hitting him with marshmallows, and then you all of a sudden hit him in the head, and you're like, yay, I did it.
Like that. God, that gun was so bad.
It was so ass, dude.
It was such an awful weapon. It was just not great. But thankfully, 1.5 certainly makes that a lot easier if you're playing Warden, or in this case, MP5 2 with the 1.5. A lot of different options for NIP to take, and take a lot of long angle engagements with players on Sandbox. Good Boy has hit the Nook though. They're gonna creep on through the building, even though they lost basement. They can get control of one of these stairwells early on. That certainly helped, cutting off these defenders, rotating back to the site. I don't even know
how did that even happen?
Oh, he's in. They've got Z-pings on him too. So he was in attic. Mephi was probably trying to enter either T3. Good recovery.
He checked it. Wizard checked it. Oh my god.
He shot Good Boy. That's actually crazy.
No, that was a very good shot to Good Boy. But man, dude, I bet he did not expect Wizard to send shots back at him. What a moment there. Ninjas in Pajamas almost get 2 off of that, but luckily Good Boy is shooting straight here on Oregon. Demic's going to move his way in and start getting some info around these top floors. I don't hate it, Lynx. I don't hate the 0 play here.
No, especially with NIP having such a strong presence down below the bomb site, having those Argus cameras to watch the flanks, make sure nobody can push up. I think it's perfectly logical for Sandbox to run that operator. And he's got hard breach charges as well. So meanwhile, Nova's focusing on the front side. You have Demic on the back side opening up those angles. Speaking of flanks, though, a lot of it is focused on the back tower side, but Pino's been inside a kitchen the entire time.
There's no way he did that.
He's built different.
Through the eye of a needle, man. Actually, genuinely, that was impressive.
Into split.
Wow. Well, Sandbox, really just a testament to how this entire game's been going with that one, huh?
Yeah, just Good Boy doesn't even have an opportunity to fight back. Just shoots him right in split through the soft wall. NIP have been running rough shot over Sandbox. It happened on Chalet, and it's only happened in 1 round on Oregon so far, and this being Sandbox map pick, maybe they've got time to recover. Is somebody outside the white stairs position, but with a minute left, do you know where the take is coming from? I mean, we see them trying to open the bedroom wall, right?
It's not. What they're doing right now is they're trying to find any which way to get a pick, and everybody's just kind of working their own quadrant.
Like, they want to go with the bedroom side, but they just don't have the angles yet. They're just now entering the building off attic, but Nova might just have something.
I was a little worried because we did still have Nova down on the front yard, but he hopped up the van, so now we kind of have a more pointed offense. That's why Lynx was getting worried. It's like everybody's in the 4 corners of the map, and now you've lost your other portion of this setup. Everything's now coming in from Trophy, and this is the worst way to do things when it comes to Siege. Unless you're being very direct and very hostile, this is more than likely not going to go your way. Arakaze on very low HP, no more throwables to try and deal with this. Beautiful crosses being held, and Psycho's just swinging through. Muzi will take down 1. Nova will at least get 1 for his troubles, but it's a 1 versus 2. He does have some time to try and flirt with this plant, flirt with some death as well, so continue his tirade, but he can't land the critical shots. Almost had it on to Psycho, but with very minimal time remaining, he pushes through. Pino's turned himself into a rug, and he'll make sure that he knocks his opponent down to his level.
2-0 now, NIP moving on to the tertiary bomb site. Sandbox need these 2 rounds, need these 2 attacks on the meeting bomb site, or the kitchen bomb sites, plural. if they want to have a shot in this series. If they let NIP go up 5-1, God forbid, go up 6-0. God, ward off evil real quick.
Yeah.
If they let that happen, this map may very well be over, barring a huge choke from NIP. So Sandbox winning this round and likely winning this site again later is an absolute necessity.
I mean, man, the Reaper might be getting off early today, baby. This is
true.
working out nice,
You're
dude.
gonna have to run over to the player booth.
Yeah, more of a 9 to 3 than a 9 to 5 for me, baby.
True.
Let's go. Have to see though. It's not what Caster Stokes wants, but definitely makes the grimming part of my Grim Reaper setup a lot easier. Have to see though. Always love full-on best of threes, and I'd much rather Sandbox go home with their heads held high than going home wondering what could be. So we'll see if there's anything else that they can try and add to this heap. As it looks like they've got some semblance of an idea of what they want to do with this operator lineup, especially with Arakaze moving his way on over to Monty.
Earlier in Sandbox's game against Crest banned the OSA, and Sandbox really wanted to go for a stage plant despite the lack of the OSA, and it really threw off their take quite a bit. Right now, they're actually running a pretty similar lineup to that same round earlier. I thought maybe without the OSA ban, we'd see eventually get to meeting them run the OSA, but maybe they got something different planned, or maybe they really do just want to run the Monty strategy for getting a bomb down on stage. We'll just have to see, as that is a long ways away. But Sandbox love clearing out this second floor. They love making sure the entire map is clear, taking control of it. The early presence on split wall, it actually seems more like a front side take than a backside take.
Oh no. EMP again? There we go. Okay, cool.
All good.
Yeah, a little worried there for a split second. I think the first one hit the door frame or something.
Something like that.
Some
The radius is also just so small sometimes.
Yeah, most definitely. I've had quite a few issues with the impacts throughout time, and it's mostly the electroclaws. That is what makes it super difficult, especially on things like Clubhouse, right, where you can put it behind different walls and all that kind of stuff. Villa had that as well there for a while too. So either way, though, Ninjas in Pajamas have done a bang-up job of holding on to this strategy, especially for cons. I love how aggressive he's playing around here. They have the Razor Bloom up top with the Mute Jammer, making it to where the info can't try and pour in from there. So it's going to allow cons to live for quite some time. He's also worried about down low, but he's got some barbed wire there to cover. And this is really just to be a thorn in the side of Sandbox. This is more than likely some homework that NIP did. They know that they really favor this side when it comes down to it. And a lot of teams do, because when it comes to that split attack, you really want some pressure on the defense to either A, get a big kill and kind of open things up, or B, pressure them back and allow you to get that quick plant. But not really in the cards for Sandbox, especially because a lot of the goods have already been given up.
Yeah, and also C4 to ward off the Monty on the door and moving into back tower. Almost a minute left, or at least a minute 10 right now. Cons just walks up, catches Mephi breakdancing on the pillar right there. He's wiggling, moving around. Good Boy's able to find Wizard at least, but that's full back tower control in the hands of NIP at the moment, as Pino is also there to make sure that nobody can take down the Mute from the upstairs position. This Monty has barely moved an inch into back tower, and now he rotates off. Now, they opened up the split wall earlier, right? But NIP can rotate someone to the split door and counter this very push, and there's not a lot of time for Sandbox to react to that and station a player in a position to counter it. Good Boy will try to do it, but we're really tight.
Oh, and he's also going to... No, he misses it too, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. Genuinely not a bad push. Honestly, might want to just take the smoke and try and execute through there, but... Instead,
where's he going?
Kaze's going upstairs. He's got the case here, 20 seconds remaining. I think they're worried about some of the verticality play that could end up being up top. There's one over here in the corner. There's no way. There's absolutely no chance in hell that this is the way that things are going to go down.
Oh,
that was
man
a
advantage.
huge moment. They get the man advantage, and they might have the plant. But Arakaze, he's the last one up. He might actually have... No.
No, he doesn't.
Nope. He got off. And I'm not lying to you when I say I'm about 90% positive that he probably would have got that plant down if he stuck it.
He might have, but to be fair, both of the players covering him went down at about the same time.
Yeah.
I get the anxiety. I get the anxiety to fall off the plant and try to go for the pick.
Also, 1v2 with Monty is one of the hardest situations to try and figure out, especially when they're attacking from two very pivotal areas. So.
Yeah, like maybe he could have got the bomb down, but I get fallen off in that situation. The only downside is, though, is that I think Good Boy had the right idea, and in their game against Crest earlier, that was their plan. They would try to plant stage side, have Good Boy move through the split door, relieve pressure, bomb goes down, right? 30 seconds left. Sandbox are like, we don't actually want to do that. We're going to try to drop down the kitchen hatch. And whenever you do a rotate that late, that's just across the whole map, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be hectic. There are going to be gaps. And so Sandbox weren't in a great position, but that's always going to happen no matter the team when they go for a rotate that late. But it cost them win on the meeting bomb site, and now NIP, unless Sandbox win the next 3 rounds in a row, all of those bomb sites, a 5-1 seems very likely at this point.
And, you know, I really think that last round just goes to show what's happening to Sandbox. In these moments where there's really nothing else they can do but the strategy that's in hand, they actually play pretty damn well.
Yeah.
It's their headspace,
They know
man.
the
You can
positions.
tell that their mental is really affecting them in these big rounds, especially at the start. I think that they just kind of got the shakes, dude. The CCS shakes.
Rest in peace, CCS.
Rest in peace, CCS.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Really early, dude, in my career. That was a heck of a time. That's actually fun fact. That is the original spot that I saw and casted joystick for the very first time. CCS Finals for Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I was like, who the hell is this guy? This dude's cracked. This is insane.
I'm sure he won't go on to do anything, though.
Yeah, no, never.
Wow. And I don't know who he is.
He would definitely never kick my ass in ranked in Poland. That would never happen.
Oh, shout out to the EU ranked stack. But
dude.
3-0 now at this point for NIP on their Oregon defenses. Monty back at cards. Arakaze taking the mantle of the Mountain Shield. 2 players stacked on the bottom of freezer stairs.
Oh, no.
This is such... I love this play. I
Thank
love
God
this
it's
play.
Arakaze.
But the only problem is, like, when they have a Monty, it's like, I guess we just gotta leave. I guess
exactly.
we can't.
They're like,
Get
oh,
you.
it's you. Fine.
It's like, great, no kill for us.
It's like when the teacher shows up at recess. No more fun. I get it. Whatever.
I gotta go stand against the wall.
Yeah. It was just very hostile dodgeball. Come on. Like,
Listen, he had, like, I had the ball. He hit my shin really hard. I had to throw it in his face. I had to do it.
at an gregarious angle.
Yes, exactly.
Indeed. That looks to be what Sandbox are trying to do here. Pinch hitter. They really need to get round 4 under their belt. I mean, we are reaching critical mass at the fastest velocity. Although these rounds are taking a long time.
They are. I mean, it's Oregon, to be fair.
Yeah, you got me there.
It's Oregon. Both these teams a bit on the slower side compared to the mean. And we have a Goyo on the board, too. So if these Vulcan packs land at the pace they should, if the Toxic Canisters land when they should as well, Sandbox should not have solid entry into the bomb site for quite a bit. Rotation being called by Sandbox. Moving over to the backside and Laundry at the moment, but just desperately probing at the moment for any sort of opening. The utility all landing for NIP, though Khan's giving up those smokes very early, so if they are able to drain all of this utility on the freezer side, including that C4 from Hino, will it be low on time? Yes. But Sandbox, very realistically, could find a position where the smoke canisters are gone, the Goyos are gone, but all the players from Sandbox are gone as well. Monty quickly the only one with a gun up alongside Demic. Arakaze does find one. Uzi cut down, but very easily finished off by Khans. Definitely the MVP for NIP in this series so far. So many big plays, so many big moments, and the real closer for NIP.
I think Khans today has been the guy that's really been standing out for me the most on this team. Past Muzi.
Definitely.
Those two are a dynamic duo right now, and the cool thing is that they're so useful in such different ways. Khans is more methodical, much more patient, plays off of his team very well, and Muzi is that, you know, caged animal that you just want to release on a squad and let him decimate an entire team in the opening moments.
You put him in a spot, usually good for one.
Yep, and that's what you love, especially for your fraggers. If your fragger at a very bare minimum level can go for a one-on-one, or rather one-to-one, that is exactly what you want out of those players. This is going to proc a tactical timeout, and I mean, why the hell wouldn't it? It's 4-0 right now.
Yeah, it's 4-0, and you need those 2 rounds to have a chance in this match. This game, or this half, needs to be 4-2 minimum for Sandbox if they want any chance whatsoever at even a dream of Consulate, even a dream of Map 3 in Day 2 at the Atlanta Major. So I think it's good timing from Sandbox to understand the situation they're in, try to correct course. Basement has now been won twice by NIP as well. They'll go back to dorms where they're in danger, the Sandbox are, of the exact same thing happening. This site in particular as well. It seemed to be a minute left, and Sandbox wanted to go for a master bedroom and trophy take. We knew that. That's the positions they opened and what they wanted to do, but players were all over the place. One guy in attic, somebody outside the building, and it was all very late, very hectic for Sandbox. And while, the execute was fine, the coordination, the execution of it wasn't great. And that's another thing that we see for Sandbox try to do, and NIP will just easily take that.
Yep. A little discombobulated on certain things, some wires crossed that they're most definitely not going to be able to fix in the moment, right? Just kind of have to do your thing and hope that there's something that can be accomplished here on this map, something to be had. But as we know, things have definitely been the struggle bus for Sandbox so far. And I mean, really, inside of Oregon, standing a testament to what you said. This is not a map that you'd really expect for them to go to, given what happened earlier on with the 7-4.
Yeah.
But they immediately go back to the same well and hope the water's good. And not exactly the case.
Maybe somebody purified it in the intervening hours, but so far, definitely not great at the moment. Mephi is creeping up the armory stairs at the moment. That wall full reinforced. No head holes right there. Oh, Mephi.
This is perfect.
He does see the guy reinforcing. That's one kill going the way of Sandbox, but Mephi alone in the bomb site. Is Nip going to react? There's another player inside of dorms. Mephi, check it. Oh, he doesn't check the corner.
Why?
Collins was looking towards the big window as well. That could have been an easy pickup had he just pushed a little further. And what does he get for it? The Frost already has the utility down. That's Psycho, sure, but I think you lose a little bit more by dropping Mephi, and the potential energy of that play, man, is off the charts.
Dude, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the thing that is so aggravating to watch with that is, Carter, that's the most default check inside of that bomb site, is deep inside of the bedroom. That's where everybody plays. It's the safest spot to be, and you don't check it? You just stand there and stare at a door. Anyways.
There we go.
I digress. Good boy will at least be able to keep things on Sandbox's side. Nova's going to add to this pile. So Sandbox, the tactical timeout working so far. Mephi more than likely lighting a fire under them with that initial frag, and it's actually going to be Sandbox that seals the deal. But damn it, man, do I not want to see that again.
Yeah, Mephi able to at least get the first pick on that Nook play. Could have been a lot more, but now that Sandbox have won the round, not as, not going to look on it too harshly at this point because they were still able to recover. And a lot of it was just from individual engagements going their way. Good boy, very awkward position on White Stairs because you've got someone watching it from the second floor and someone watching it from the Showers hallway with nobody really able to deal with either of those players except Good Boy. But he's able to find the Legion in Showers. Now all he has to do is focus on the guy White Stairs. That one engagement really starts making this, all right, we've got a Sandbox round in our hands. Then they convert, win it. So is it a little individual? Is it necessarily a team effort? No, it is individual, but Sandbox still get there first, and now NIP go back down to meeting. This is where the 4-2 really can happen. If they can take the lessons from the tactical timeout, it'll happen on this site.
We saw that initial push that threw Nip off kilter, right? All of a sudden your Frost that's reinforcing the master wall is exploited from Trophy in a nice swing, but it was really the rest of Sandbox that was able to step up and capitalize on that. Nip trying to pick up the pieces. We saw some nice rotations over towards White Stairs, but that was completely headed off by, I believe, Good Boy standing out there as Sophia. So well thought out from Sandbox and something that hasn't been a regular occurrence, but something that we are really hoping to see more.
And we've been so harsh on them up through that 4-0, but again, if they get a 4-2, that's a workable game. It's not guaranteed winnable, but it's certainly workable. It is manageable. So if they can just win the tertiary bomb site, which is often how teams get the 4-2 is winning that bomb site twice. Sandbox will treat us to a very normal Oregon just by the round count. Looking to go for, or at least aiming initially for a front-sided take again. They've got the hard breacher and the diffuser over inside a garage, opening up the split wall early, but Good Boy cut down in a key position. The Z hallway player removed off the board by Muzi, but also more importantly, the Thorn remaining on that split doorway. Good pickup by Mephi. Wizard alone inside of the shower. Maybe a little too far extended at this point or doesn't know about the Buck's position. Mephi also alone at the moment. Muzi rotates over and is able to catch the Buck looking the wrong way. On two different parts of the bomb site, the Thorn's able to find kills.
Oh, Arakaze. There's an SMG-11 awaiting him right around the corner. Back and forth at M592. He hears the dope call, and he knows that there's some potential for him to be holding one of these angles, but you can see Ninjas in Pajamas resting on their laurels. This is what we expect out of them. Play that timer and see if they can try and delay things for as long as humanly possible. Sandbox, not really having an answer yet, but this is really a play out of the Nip handbook, right? They're kind of keeping things slow, seeing what Nip want to try and do with this roam, try and rotate around, potentially get some kills. Arakaza with a nice find upstairs, dealing some very serious damage to one of the defenders, but Psycho's going to body Nova as soon as he crusts the top of White Stairs. Do have a smoke here pouring in, but is it going to mean all that much? I mean, not really. Arakaze can't do much with it. The case is now down inside a kitchen. That's more than likely a Nip round.
5-1 at this point. As you said, case dropped cold on the kitchen floor.
Wow. Yeah, Cons he's dastardly, man. He is
Jeez.
not only that, but like it's with every gun too. He is just so damn accurate.
I love him.
Yeah, no, seriously, he's one of those players, dude, that you really want to pay attention to their play style and the way that they're doing things. There's a lot to garner from him, especially if you're a younger Siege player and you're trying to pick some things up.
I mean, now we got the 5-1 half we were worried about. 6-0 would definitely be the worst. I mean, objectively, but 5-1
can't get much worse than that.
It really, literally. It is physically impossible for you to get worse than that unless you're like internet DCs on round 7 and you just can't connect back in time and just auto get a 7-0, I guess. Like, maybe that's worse. But, yeah, 5-1, certainly not great either. This is the point where it seems very likely that NIP can get 2 wins to close this out in regulation. Basement's the bomb site that is always the most favorable for the defense. It's always the one that, if we can give anything to Sandbox in theory, it should be this one. So if we start off good here, doesn't mean they'll win it. But Sandbox can at least start building some momentum for future rounds.
Isn't the Knights game on the other stream?
Yeah, the Knights game. Fury Knights.
Okay.
Shout out to Tom Hagen.
Who the hell is Tom Hagen?
It's one of the Knights players, idiot.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know his name was Tom Hagen. I thought it was just Tom.
It's Tom Hagen. And by the way, Fury up 4-3.
Fury up? Wow.
Met the Fury coach in the gym today. Shout out, nice guy.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Did you get to bump into Napew? I-9?
No. I want to dedicate some time to this, though. I think I-9 is one of the hardest names in Rainbow Six.
It's pretty sick.
It's such a clean name.
I'm going to have to talk to him again because we talked about this probably like a year ago at this point, but it has something to do with his actual name, and it lines up really cool with his language. So we'll get that info later on. I'm sure I'll talk about it at some moment in time during this tournament, but definitely one of the teams that I really, really enjoy watching and something that's been a pretty cool storyline for the last 2 years in Rainbow Six Siege. Huh? So have to see how that works out, but we're in the same boat over here. We're seeing if Sandbox is going to go home play in the sand or if they're going to continue trying to make some glass out of this. Ninjas in Pajamas doing their damnedest to take their time. Things nice and methodical. Slowly wrapping their way around this bomb site. Just like we were talking about earlier, they really enjoy clearing out the full map, using their full breadth of droning and trying to get these easy picks. And the worst part about NIP is if you give over those initial picks, they're going to make you sit there and wait for potentially a minute, minute and a half until it gets down to around 20-ish seconds, and they will finally dawn your doorstep.
They use every single minute available to them. They know that, all right, if we've got the time on the clock, we might as well make use of it. They are very, very frugal. Very, very frugal. But to Sandbox's credit, nobody playing too far off the bomb side at the moment, so no free picks for NIP's way. They will need to actually make some progress down below with some of that utility. No nades on the board, to be fair, either, so it will have to be by gunfights or blocking angles with those smoke grenades. So Sandbox, actually, in terms of the utility they're facing on the attack, this is not that bad. Not that bad. You don't have to worry about those nades as much, so Mephi's going to be a lot safer in his position. Nova likely as well a lot safer in his position. And even the Warden, if he can look through those smokes and he's not dealt with, this lineup is really, really good for Sandbox right now in terms of the utility NIP are bringing to counter it.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Not in crunch time yet for them. Usually sub-minute, we're always looking at a team and be like, all right, where are they going to execute?
Yeah.
But you and I are going to sit here very patiently for Ninjas in Pajamas because we know it's coming. It's just about 20 seconds away.
Oh, yeah.
Pino and Nip. This is what I love so much about the strategy. They toss in these little pieces of utility, like breadcrumbs, right? And just see if the birdies will come out to play. And it's like, oh, you want that little breadcrumb, little buddy? Boop. Just like, get them a little kill.
I also love it with Pino, too. He's always the one holding these angles, cutting off these flanks, and it's just so good. Wizard drops down, only goes 1 for 1, though. Picks up the kill on Nova, then immediately backs off. The rest of NIP also hitting the brakes at the moment. Multiple players all just trying to drop down. At the moment, Woozy retakes the engagement. Down goes Good Boy. Mephi still inside a bunker. Oh, our Kaze picking up 1. Pino inside a bunker, now got to push up. Mephi sees him, able to finish him off easily. Good, good, good from Sandbox. Might just be basement, but it could be the start of something great.
Good boy. Good boy.
Good kitty.
Good kitty. Space Station staying alive here. Took a basement defense, and one that was kind of shaky, but when the shots mattered most, they were able to land. And Sandbox are able to thwart off Ninjas in Pajamas. Penultimate point. At least keep them wandering for a little while longer on their quest to get out of this lower bracket.
Now Dorms, this is the one they absolutely need to win. I mean, all these rounds, in my opinion, are absolute must-wins. But if you can win Dorms as well, all right, we have a game on our hands. Then meeting after, but you're starting to put steps in front of you, which was a struggle on the attack. It's something a little bit better here if they can pick up this next round. As well, Oregon is, especially on that basement bomb site, a site that is not super favorable for NIP's slow play style. On dorms, they have a lot more leeway. Depending on the type of execute they want to go for, trophy bedroom is very time-consuming, so NIP might have some problems there. But if they want to go for big window white, for example, and they get that opening pick, we're in a much different position. So look to how NIP take this one, and if they are still going for these lengthy takes that are giving Sandbox time to set up in positions on the bomb site, Sandbox very likely have a good pathway into that game just by replicating that strategy.
Love the addition of the gridlock here. Especially with the frag grenades, there's really not a reason to not bring her nowadays. Those track stingers have always been pretty influential. It was just that it was really difficult to try and work her in, especially because, you know, you had Nomad as well, and really those more staircase-centric maps were good.
And the interesting thing I've seen so far this event as well is, I mean, it used to be 2 nade ops always on the attack. Back when it was, you know, Yana had them. It's a Yana Sledge, Yana Nook, for example. Really, most of these rounds, I feel like it's been 1 nade op. I mean, we see Gridlock and Finka right now, but I feel like a lot of these games, it's just been 1 set of nades.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of the circumstances of what is available, right?
Yeah.
I do believe Sledge still has his,
yeah,
but
he does.
Yana doesn't have hers anymore. Sledge is also a 3 armor. It's just like, you know, there's not really frags on any good fragging operator, minus
Finka.
Right there. And that's why she's getting played again.
Yeah. Definitely the most universal of all of the well, aside from Sledge, if you're on a map with verticality. We're on Oregon. I mean, what are you going to sledgehammer here?
True.
So Finka on this map in particular is the most universal of all of those operators to have frag grenades, and it's probably why Moosey's been playing her pretty consistently throughout today, pretty consistently on Oregon, Chalet, all of those. And especially giving Finka in the hands of Moosey, we know what he did with it earlier again in the Geek game, so I'd keep him on that operator as much as you can. Khan's probing for anything inside of dorms, one just barely tucked away around the corner. They'll hold this position the entire time. It is a big window white take, everybody. As you can see, the diffuser sat outside a big window. That is what NIP are gunning for now, what they're setting up for this gridlock.
More track stingers in, open up classroom, but there is somebody down on Z there. Some potential for them to get a good play going for themselves. Moosey's going to pick up 1. He's actually over inside of Split. Pino takes down 1. Demic, a misclick, but thank God he shot him in the head. That could have been the worst moment I've ever seen in my life casting this video game. But fortunately enough, he dies in a different way instead. 3 versus 2, it's in favor of the offense, but they don't have a place for this case just yet. No Nitro Cell on the mute either. It's going to be up to the gunfire, the cannon fodder out of Sandbox. And they're going to be able to get 2. It's going to be down to Moosey. And he does have more adrenal surges, but Sandbox starting to put together a defensive side, and one that I don't think that NIP were exactly ready for. They're kind of going through this at a very normal pace, not really, you know, adding too much brain power to this. Kind of swinging into things and just taking the gunfights and hoping that they win them out, but now Sandbox is hitting their mark.
Yeah, we got a game now. I mean, Sandbox are not out of the woods just yet, but we finally, 2 maps in, what is that? I think 17 rounds in total. We really have a game on our hands now. Sandbox have got that Dormus defense, and if they can win meeting, go flawless, the onus starts to move on to NIP to pick up rounds. That Sandbox would have effectively clawed themselves out of the deficit they were under. And are they out of the woods? No. But in far better straits than they were at the beginning of the side swap. Meeting Hall Kitchen, though. You gotta really read where the attack is coming from. If you let them get set up on any side, split, dining, stage, no matter where they do, if you let the attack get in their positions, this can be a difficult bomb site to retake.
Well,
I think they got it in them.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say right now. Some solid rounds out of Sandbox, but the one thing about Ninjas in Pajamas, it's like we were referencing earlier, they always make like these little strategy changes, especially in their operator lineups, that can add so many different folds into their strategy. And it becomes very worrisome for Sandbox because they are so dynamic, you know? And with a map like Oregon, you really don't have to get too creative with your clear, but you can get creative in utility, and that's what we're seeing them do.
And NIP have a way they like to play the game, and so they always change within that strategy, but they never change the overall play style. They never change the overall personality. Always the same face, maybe just with a different shade of makeup in any given round. How will NIP attack this one? We see Psycho moving on to the Nooks. Maybe a little bit more fluid, maybe try to work that split doorway, find someone playing close on that side of the map, or clear out the top floor. It's very spread out from NIP to start. They will open up the split door, certainly expand their options once they get that hard breach on the wall. At least I thought they got that hard breach on the wall. I think they did.
Yeah, they tossed it, but I don't know if it actually ended up going off.
I don't think it did
Sama
either.
there. Is it muted, or what do we have here? No, I think it's gone. No, it got shot off or
Oh,
something. Yeah,
okay.
you can see the 2 little ash marks from where it once was. That's going to mean that Pino eventually will have to roll back over there and get it because they don't have any other hard breach. No secondary hard breach and no other primary hard breachers. So Nova's going to drone things outside. Beauty of the Yokai drone. It doesn't immediately get lost signal-wise. So have 10 seconds to try and roll things about. Ninjas in pajamas, wouldn't you know, are going to continue that same strategy you've been seeing time and time again throughout the years as they're patiently awaiting anybody to show up. And Mephi, you're going to be the poor soul that puts your face where it's not supposed to be.
Do you think there's a bit of a mistiming there, as I like Nova really actively using that Yokai to drone around that area? One now shot, as you just saw, but still one over on the garage side. But Mephi not really communicating maybe with Nova, and they don't end up scanning that front door.
I don't think you could see him because he was upside down propelled.
I know he couldn't see him, but he was still droning that area is what I'm saying. So if you want to go for that swing, maybe wait a little bit. But Sandbox aren't waiting whatsoever. Demic able to cut down Pino. And Psycho downed onto the big window. Demic might be able to finish him off from below if he gets the intel, but not a super likely position. The rest of NIP flooding in through the top floor. Good read by Demic. Wizard not expecting the white stairs push. Still a 3v3 if they can revive Psycho. A minute left for NIP to try to bring back this round as Sandbox really have finally started having a say in this series.
You're going to be able to get her back up.
Yep.
Psycho will be able to pick Nook back up. Khan's taking a little bit of damage, but he really needs to pump the brakes.
He's got all of his air jabs, I just realized.
Oh, wow. That's not supposed to happen. Just like, if you're not going to use them, play anything else. Although Khan's does have that ARX, and we know how dastardly that gun can be in the proper hands. Usually it's Shiko's hands.
You can always use those air jabs for the retake.
Ooh.
Able to dome Demic.
This is
They're
getting really
prepping for a
scary.
hatch drop. Neither of them have the diffuser, but there's a shotgun
Oh,
right around the
no!
corner, but he works away. Oh! He gets both of them left and right.
Seconds left.
Now Khan's the demon himself. He doesn't even check the angle. Arukaze, the big 3-piece. And Sandbox are back in it. Basement, dorms, and meeting. All now won by the defense.
There's just enough oversight and just enough patience at a Sandbox to win these rounds. The oversight obviously being from Nip. I mean, there's a lot of those moments there where Sandbox, specifically in that one, the White Stairs player, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just getting to exist for free, and they're hardcore pushing into that top floor to try and get some semblance of control, but they're not worried about crosses or any potentiality of Sandbox players being there. And, I mean, from what we've seen today, this is most definitely the most comfortable that we've seen Sandbox.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not criticizing. This is not like a criticism. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see attack timeout because losing those 3 defenses in a row, wanting to close this out in the regulation, I thought maybe we'd see one. Maybe if they drop this one, we'll see them kind of mirror the Sandbox, lose 4 rounds in a row tactical timeout. I'd expected to see it then, but if NIP drop this one, we're probably going to see the pause button hit going into round 11. This is basement, of course, so theoretically losing this, it's not the worst thing in the world, but NIP now need to start actually finding some of these rounds and getting them on the board because Sandbox might just have a comeback in the making. Big switch. Psycho bringing out the Monty, but he'll have to deal with the Clash on Nova as well. Normally we see the Monty move down a stairway, try to force some control away from the defense, make the defense a little uncomfortable. But with Clash being able to do the same thing on the attack, we're in a bit of a stalemate in terms of how these strategies will likely play out.
And the Psycho, not Psycho, the Psycho on Monty. Secondary hard breach too, and that'll free up Pino, so I'll have the stuns instead. Stuns on the Wizard as well as our primary hard breach. Really liking this lineup that we're bringing in from Nip. Now, I will be honest with you, the one thing that I think that they are lacking is a little info game. Really like to see a Dokkaebi worked in the lineup because it would seriously help them with these moments where they want to get more aggressive.
I didn't like it in Geeky either.
Drop a call.
Yeah.
You know, you drop a call and you suddenly know where everybody is. It's super weird.
You know, they really did not play it in that Geeky game either. They brought her sometimes, but it's really not a focal point of their lineup. I've noticed that as well.
Really interesting.
You know where the Clash is, though?
Yep.
That one's pretty easy to find out. Hans knows there might be somebody playing close behind. Yeah, he knows that, all right, if Clash is this far up, there's probably some kind of follow-up, some kind of backup. Force the Clash back as the utility goes out. Smoke canister burned early, but to cover Nova's retreat down the freezer stairs. So some good time wasting early on, but NIP also not wasting too much time either. First hatch opens up on top of meeting, and now next kind of 45 seconds will just be NIP trying to figure out what part of the map they want to push from.
Psycho taking some damage from either It's got to be smoke. It has to be Good Boy tossing something out. There's no Legion mines or anything else here to play, so this definitely has to be Good Boy's first smoke that poured out there. Need the clash against the Monty. An immovable object up against an immovable object. Nova. They get forced back now as there is some semblance of control moving in from Nip. He does have that secondary player directly in behind him. It's going to force Nova down into the pillar position. They discovered another player. They're actually going to reinforce the single panel here. And Ninjas in Pajamas, they're doing much better on time than they usually do for these situations.
They are, but there is still that clash in pillar. They need to have this util clear be solid. Good Boy also with the shotgun playing close. They're falling out of E-Box, though. A gap left in the attacks lineup. Good Boy's able to place a few pellets in the back of the Monty, but he's still not able to find the next one. Cons quickly moves in and makes a bad situation something far more palatable. They cut through the bomb site like a hot knife through butter. Nova's got to take out the secondary. An excellent shot on the Wizard, but NIP with more time on the clock than usual is a scary beast to put in a corner.
What a round from Ninjas in Pajamas, and you have to shout out the Ash on that. Without her...
What's his name?
What?
What's his name?
What is
it's
it?
Cons.
It's Cons.
It's Cons.
It's Cons. Yeah, I had to ask it because it happened so quick. It was... everything just went blank for me.
You think Ash? Oh, it's got to be Pino. It's got to be Muzi. It's Cons?
It's Cons. It's Cons. And Nip knows what's up. I mean, like I said, every once in a while, they chuck the dog a bone. And he shows you why. Ninjas in Pajamas need a round. Cons can probably do it for us. Yep. And again, I'm just going to highlight this. This guy does it all. He plays every damn operator that you can name. If you name an operator and it's important, Cons probably plays it. And he does it so well. It's like, what is happening? Reminds me of Pengu when he didn't suck, so.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
He's on a bus, he can't fight me.
Simmer down there, Sparky. No need for the
He's
BM.
old now, I get to say these things.
That's true. He's like 85.
Exactly, especially in esports years. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Dude, no.
Well, right as Sandbox started to get back into it, right as they started to reel us back in, we find ourselves on a match point for NIP. Sandbox, one round away.
As soon as I get out, they pull me right back in. That's what Ninjas in Pajamas has done to you and I here, because you and I were kind of starting to leave the camp a little bit.
No, we were like, all right, 5-1-1/2. I said Sandbox didn't really have another way back into this, but they started making me believe it. And to be fair, I'm not believing just yet. They've gone back to basement, understandable.
It's like what our ayahuasca smoking friend Aaron Rodgers said. You know what I mean? Yeah, you got to leave room for opportunity.
You do.
Yeah.
And right now, as Sandbox have gone back to basement, did they just lose it? Sure, but this is still the bastion for the defense. In all of Rainbow Six, one could argue. So going back to this makes perfect sense. And even then, with 45 seconds left, Pillar was still in their control. They found a gap in NIP's attack. There were a lot of ways that Sandbox had potential to win that round. So I think retrying this makes perfect sense and is totally fine.
Totally agree with you. I will say this, though. The operator lineup from Nip is making things look kind of scary.
I wonder what you could be referring to.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think, you know what? I think we'll leave it up to the gods. And
It's Wizard on the Hibana.
Dude, that's what I'm terrified about, actually. I'm shaking my boots right now. My grim boots.
Talking about the Glass, by the way, if you weren't able
They're
to
red
pick up.
bottoms, too, look.
Oh.
They're not.
Nice.
They're Air Force Ones.
All right, no, I can't tell shoot. So, but yeah, Psycho is on the Glass, so where he decides to push from, we'll just have to wait and see. As NIP, a little bit slower than they were before in the previous attack. They pushed the Clash down a little bit quicker.
They don't have the Monty.
That is true. That might be a big reason they do not have the Monty, so just having someone walk in and force control away from the defense isn't as possible as it was before. So we might not see the NIP executing with 45 seconds left on the clock. This might be the normal 20 or 15.
Yeah, also Pino and Cons were more than likely the only people that can really try and clear out the map initially, because if you lose any other pieces of the puzzle, that's huge for your execution, because you are banking on the fact that Psycho is successful with these smokes, and that also banks on the fact that Muzi is there to try and deliver some fire bolts and smoke bolts of his own. So Ninjas in Pajamas are now going to start working their way down towards the site. Glass is on for Mephi, and that means it's game time now. Smoke's out. He's going to get a little bit of damage dealt to him, but now they know that he's playing the boiler door. We do have the Clash still here on Pillar, but a lot of time for Nip, and this is what was so worrisome the last time. They had so much time to try and play around with this, and what a trade here from Wizard. To be able to at least get one, Arkaze will be able to pick up yet another. Wizard should be having to worry about the cross here momentarily coming in from Freezer, but no, it's actually going to be the player right inside of Elbow. Pino still with an opportunity, has to play up against the smoke and has to play up against the Mira. Two solid positions from them too, and like there was an opportunity for the Mirror to get that swing in timing, but unfortunately for him, not going to be the case. I think Pino's going to try and bait this out with some potential case play, but no, he's actually going to shift gears and work his way around, just as Good Boy does as well, and he'll find that nice angle through electrical to clean that one up before it gets too dangerous.
Yeah, I like that rotation from Good Boy at the end. All right, he's smoking bunker for like 8,000 years. I'll rotate over to the E-box window and take that very same angle. So good rotation by Good Boy. Now 6-5 for Sandbox. They find themselves, after winning the basement bomb site, after dropping it, still in a very winnable position, as NIP have overall struggled very much on this attacking half. And even on these off-bomb sites, they haven't won a lot of them. So for NIP to win this right here, it is not at all guaranteed. It is not at all likely even necessarily, as Dorms was not particularly great, as Sandbox were able to isolate NIP on white stairs inside a trophy and isolate a lot of 1v1s that they won. So NIP's slow play style not really being changed up on Dorms, and it really costing them.
Yeah, most definitely. And it just goes to show that Sandbox, at least, you know, palpable on Oregon. They can get things done, especially on this defensive end. And, you know, it definitely makes you feel pretty good when it comes to a pickup like this, because we were a little worried walking into this what the potentiality of this was going to be, and I was as well. I mean, the God's honest truth, I thought this was going to be a 7-0 or a 7-1. So, and it's much better than that. Shout out to Sandbox. Thank you so much for showing us what you are capable of, because we knew it all along. It's just, again, it's those shakes, man. Sometimes when you reach these critical moments, it's so hard to get over that mental obstacle. I mean, we've all dealt with situations like this before, so.
And this is better than the Crest game earlier as well.
Yeah.
That was a 7-4 loss, and this at least, even if they lose it, will be a better score.
When you have nothing to lose, Carter, that's when you play the best.
Indeed, you do. Cons with the Zofia, you really can't play everything. I'm
telling you.
I might go back and count how many different operators he played in this series, but trying his best to burn the trophy shield currently. I don't know how successful it was. I know he got the Aruni gates, but there's still a lot of forward positioning from Sandbox. That shield being one thing. Good Boy also playing inside of the master bedroom closet, but lost a lot of his HP. He'll back off, but not reinforce off the wall just yet. Sandbox have one in pocket to cut off that point of entry for NIP.
All right, now, let's see your due diligence. I like this angle here. You can see how many eyes it's drawing from Sandbox as well as all these Selmas are starting to burst. Oh, Arakaze. There's absolutely no shot. I mean, great shot here from Mephi, but no way that should have been an oversight from Arakaze. He steps right into the angle, and Wizard is going to trade himself out for the top fragger right now from Sandbox.
Still, Sandbox lost a lot of HP. Pino also been so good with these vertical nades throughout the entire day so far. Does miss the one right there because it's a bit of late or delayed or late intel. Still has one to try and find over in the Dorms position later on. NIP, by the way, not successful in getting that shield inside a trophy despite all of the Zofia dumping her utility in that position. So running very low on explosive utility, but thankfully the position's vacated by Sandbox. They've kept the wall open, though. So NIP's entry into bedroom is not free whatsoever. They have to be careful about these angles, and a team that is already very methodical, likes to take their time. This is going to cause them to be a little bit more anxious even.
I'm a little worried with that wall, too, because, like, there's no real good way for them to play it right now. They don't have a shotgun on any of these characters past Mephi, but I don't think they want him to step too far up. So, I mean, this could be a very simple waltz for Ninjas in Pajamas, but as soon as I say that, Mephi's going to get his double kill. They're trying to find him. He'll hit the deck and be able to stay alive. This is going to be a moment for Sandbox here. This is where things matter most. Can they force this overtime? And, my God, there is no way in hell that this is what's going to happen. We've gotten down the road. Sandbox, they've found the gold in the bottom of this pit. And it seems as though they'll have a chance to get us to a map 3.
And I mean, Sandbox might all be generally on low HP aside from Demic, but they know Pino's probably outside the big window. They're all just holding crossfires, holding this position. Case is all the way in trophy as well. There's nothing more they need to do. And now with the Aruni Gate reactivated, that's the door shut on Pino's even remote chance of success in this round, and we will have overtime on the board. NIP's second overtime game of the major and of today as well.
I mean, Sandbox, a completely different team in Oregon defense. Seriously, like you look at Chalet, you look at their defenses on Chalet, and then you look at the defenses over here. It looks like two completely different teams. If you remove the names from these players, you would have no idea what was going on, relatively speaking, between these two different sets of defenses here. So Ninjas in Pajamas are going to call their tactical timeout. To be expected, we just got to OT, and hopefully cooler heads prevail, because as of right now, I mean, it is a hot mess on this offense.
Very, very, very struggling to find these rounds for NIP. When they do, you can always rely on players like Khans and players like Muzi to get those kills, right? But it always seems that it's coming down to gunfights achieved in the moment, not necessarily the overall arc of the strategy culminating in a victory. So I think this is a good time to take the tactical timeout, because they are starting on that attacking side. It ends up being that Sandbox's gamble, giving NIP the defensive side to start, it ends up paying off in a moment like this, where you're forcing NIP to make the adjustments. They're the ones on the uncomfortable side to start, whereas you might have a good opportunity to get match point. Yeah,
most definitely. And it's just still boggling my mind that we're in the situation like this, right? But, I mean, with all due respect to both of these teams, this is most definitely what can happen on a map like Oregon, right? There's a lot of things that you can get done, especially on this defensive side. And, you know, although there was some awkward moments, Sandbox did a very bang-up job of staying true to what this map is about and exploiting it to its fullest advantage.
And I think that ends up being shown by their map pick, is that even though they lost it earlier against Crest, and even though their attacks might not be anything special, they know how the defenses are played. It might seem simple, but even just knowing the basics, even knowing how to work your lineups, how to play those Oregon defenses, it can still get you a lot of rounds against teams like NIP, and Sandbox clearly know it. They're making it work, and now getting to start on basement as well. Sure, NIP ended up winning it, but both times NIP attacked the basement bomb site. They tried to go for an E-box drop. That had very, very random success, it felt, at times. Either they get all the picks or they get none of the picks. And so with that strategy, you're going to try something different. Are you going to go maybe freezer side instead? Are you going to go for that same drop? How are you going to adjust around the clash? So many questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that they can do. Even with that offense that they had there, I think one of the key things that they didn't have going for themselves is there wasn't really any construction pressure. It really allowed that elbow player to kind of move around and do whatever the heck they wanted to do in a couple of those different circumstances. So maybe Nip tries to layer things a little bit more on that side, because we haven't seen them try and deal with a little bit of freezer pressure, maybe a bit of laundry pressure too, whilst also adding that attack in from pillar. So maybe it becomes more of just one portion of the map getting worked from multiple angles.
Yeah, because Pino always plays passively over there outside the doorway, so adding somebody to push the bunker.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Mephi, the best part about that moment right there was the body language, Carter. Mephi steps up, and then he's like, wait, do I do this? Ah, screw it. Bink! Slices the head off of Pino.
And now we got a 4v5 as we move into the late round of the first round of overtime.
What was the Sandbox for the rest of the day? It's insane how good people will play when their back is up against the wall. I'm telling you.
And you got to give them for at least staying composed under pressure on their map pick, because now what you have, I mean, Pino down, NIP maybe are working on an okay timetable, opening up these hatches with still about half the round to go, but it's at a 4v5. And these executes have already been dicey when they were 5v5s. When NIP had maybe positional advantages, even if not necessarily man advantages. And now Sandbox can just do what they've been doing on a lot of these defenses, playing passively, holding crossfires, letting the clash, find a lot of intel, beam it to your defense. This is just the same game plan for Sandbox, but in better positions than before.
Less overthinky, more flowy.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you need, man. Rainbow Six Siege is truly about that. When you start overthinking things, that's when the play really starts to fall apart, things devolve, the defense is able to exploit things or what have you in the situation that's being presented. But as of now, it's looking like Sandbox is really giving Ninjas in Pajamas a hard time. Mephi's going to get locked up here at the back of Pillar, but it's beautiful here for Nova. Mephi's going to be able to take down one, and this is looking like Ninjas in Pajamas is more than likely going to drop this round. Yes, indeed, that's going to be the case down with that smoke. It's going to be up to Muzi with very minimal time remaining, and the hardest part is he has to deal with Nova on that clash, who's going to be able to lock him up for the majority of this round. As soon as he drops in, all that damage coming on to him, they know that he's got to try and swing through, and there's the shot as he just ticks down below half HP. That M590 will practically be the sword that he'll lay on as Sandbox takes the lead here for what I do believe is the very first time in this series.
And win or lose at this point, I mean, I got to say it. I was down the Oregon pick.
We were wrong.
I was really down it. We were wrong.
It happens.
It was the right move for Sandbox. It might be a close game, but able to get those two attacks and then fall back on defenses that NIP ended up not having answers for. Sandbox that played very well, depending on the round. They made it work. They've made it work so far, and again, even if they end up losing 8-7, that's the difference of one round. Overall, this was the pick for Sandbox, the comfort pick to rely on, even if you might have lost it earlier. Have not faith in your previous results. Have faith in who you are right now. And at this point, it is the team that has NIP at least backs against the wall as they need to win 2 rounds in a row, 1 on attack, 1 on defense, in reverse order, of course, to try and win this series 2-0 and stay alive. In Atlanta, at the major.
In the ATL. Unlike the Falcons, because Bijan Robinson has a headache and doesn't want to play right now for some reason.
Update, by the way.
What's up?
Fury currently up 6-5 against Knights on border.
Dude. The Knights fans are not going to be happy about this.
I mean, 6-5. This was 6-5.
I mean, it was, who won the first map, do you know?
I don't know that.
Production.
Oh, it's map 1.
Oh, it's map 1. All right.
So nobody won the previous map because there wasn't one.
Fair enough. You got me there.
And hey, like I said, this game was 6-5, and now look who's leading.
It's very true. A lot of things can happen, man. That's the beauty of Siege, right? Always an opportunity to be had. Effie? Dude, just look at the cadence difference.
The confidence feels a lot better.
It always blows, and again, like I hate referencing things over and over again, but it just goes to show you what the difference of putting a little bit too much brain power into something does to you. You know what I mean? Now they're flowing a lot more. It's just what they're used to doing and their play style really coming to bear, and it's fantastic, dude. This is the Sandbox, Carter, that I've wanted to see for years.
This is the team that is at least, if they can just win one more round on either side.
No. I cursed him. That's
don't
on
do
me.
it. Please don't do it. Please, for the love of God, don't do it.
If that is what makes the wheels fall off the wagon,
They've still
I
got a buffer.
sincerely apologize to the Academy.
They have a 1-round buffer, but team killing your Montaigne, which every time you bring him, the Montaigne is never a bonus. The Montaigne is never an extraneous feature. If you're bringing the Monty, that's the tip of the spear. That's the guy you're basing at least part of the round on. Even if it's not the execute, either your early round or your late round is built around that Monty. Him being team killed is not particularly great and not a good omen at all for Sandbox to start.
And you can see it's completely discombobulated their strategy. They're shifting gears. They're trying to throw things over to construction. Now, I will say this. They're doing it in a much better time than what we saw Nip do on their offenses. And actually, same as Sandbox, too, on some of those earlier ones where we had some awkward moments. Attacking this exact bomb site, I do believe. But I have to see if it will work out for them as they try and adjust across here. Obviously, that lack of the Monty is going to be a pretty big hamper. So, Nova going to be moving in on this side. Does have the EE1D, but he's got to work on that Goyo canister. You know, waiting for that to burn out. Moosey's going to be able to get another one. And, man, Oregon defenses so dastardly.
Especially when you have the attack shooting teammates in the back of the head. Unfortunately, 5v2 now. Moosey able to pick up Nova and Demic. 3K for Moosey in that round. And, I mean, we're left wondering, what was the potential with that Monty on the board? I mean, look at the time they had. Minute 15 seconds when they started hitting the execute button. Imagine they have the Monty alive for that. That could be a completely different round. They were making such good time. The pace Sandbox had in that round was really quite excellent. But without that Monty, the execute just didn't seem like anything.
No, very, just... What do you even say? Like, they essentially just like lost the entire plot past that point.
They lost the heart of the push.
Yeah.
They lost the beating heart of the execute they were going for, and that very well could be the round that got away.
Yeah.
Because now, round 15, you don't have a buffer anymore. These next 3 minutes, you need to be perfect. If you drop this, you are out of Atlanta. Sure, you might still qualify for SI, but you'll still be grouped both majors this year. That's not a great precedent to set going into the World Championship, and you'd be the second team from Korea out of 2 teams eliminated so far to be eliminated from the Atlanta Major. You need to be closing out moments like that, and they could still win this round. Overall, the trend of this, especially on Sandbox's defenses, has been very positive.
Oh my God. Hey, what do you know? It's the very last round of the game, Carter. What do they do? What do they do? They bring the one thing
We are so back.
that I've been talking about the entire damn time with this team.
Dude,
If you want to clear, just bring freaking Dokkaebi.
They don't like her. It's
Why?
so weird. She's like the most banned attacker, at least in North America.
Probably in the world,
and they
honestly.
just probably in the world. And they just don't like Dokkaebi. It's very weird. But round 15, the literal last round on this map, they're like,
break the glass.
break glass in case of Dokkaebi.
And here we are. And I mean, the reason being, folks, it's going to be the phone calls here. I mean, with the way that Nip plays the game of Siege, it just makes sense. It makes far too much sense, in fact, that this operator would be one of their mainstay ops. But like you said, they don't care about her, really. They used her a little bit on Bank every once in a while, but then they switched over to Jackal, and then they completely circumnavigated all of their info ops. And were like, oh, we'll just bring more guns.
And for the roam clear here, there are 2 different defenders from Sandbox playing downstairs on that middle floor. So a minute into the round, as NIP are moving into small tower, they very well could collide into Demic and Goodboy playing in these positions. And I think NIP trying to get at least a 5v4 or a 5v3 by finding both of these roamers in these positions would be lovely to start out, especially with how lethal Pino's been on these nades from below. Muzi to a lesser extent, but just because we've seen Pino use them a lot more. Underneath dormers, if they can get this control, there are a lot of ways for NIP to get an early pick.
Speaking of which, right? My God. I don't think Psycho was ready for him to just be there with open arms, but Ninjas in Pajamas are going to take their time on this, folks. There's a lot to be had with this setup, especially with what Sandbox has going downstairs around the kitchen hallway and stuff. And Ninjas in Pajamas cannot have an oversight right now. Every single moment, every second that ticks off that clock could be the deciding factor. And Khans is going to get a huge kill. All of his air jabs are out. He's got to reload that ARX, though. Wizard and the rest of the gang starting to wrap around this site, starting to coil. Like we talk about with Ninjas in Pajamas, nobody's home inside of the site. Somebody has to get Khans into the 4 versus 3 we go. Khans looking for somebody, looking for a home. It's going to come down to the 2 versus 3. Good boy Endemic. Can you get it done? Can you keep Sandbox alive? Good boy. He'll wrap around the outside. Muzi's gotten one. Demic gets the other. Pino on the hold. The plant is going down in the hands of Khans. He'll be off, and so will Sandbox on an airplane home, that is, as the full series will be closed out in overtime.